Welcome to the Social Engineer Podcast. This is the SE Etc. series, episode 268. I'm Chris Hadnagy, CEO and founder of Social-Engineer LLC, the Innocent Lives Foundation, and the Institute for Social Engineering. And this podcast has been around since 2009, if you can believe that. Don't go back and listen to them all. Some of them are really bad, but the guests were always really good. As always, we are promoting our company, Social-Engineer LLC. We're very excited about some of the new things we have going on over there. First and foremost, we're talking about the Human Behavior Con. HubeCon is back, October 30th. I'm really excited about this event. Joe, Dr. Abby, and myself are running a one-day event. You're going to learn all about body language, Abby's homemade influence framework, and then elicitation and pretexting and application of it all together, how you can use this in everyday life. We're focusing on how to use this in communications. If you're a CISO, let's say, that needs to communicate to the C-level, or you're communicating to your team and trying to get them involved in your security programs, this program is going to be perfect for you. So go check out humanbehaviorcon.com, or of course go to social-engineer.com, and you can see all of our services and training there too. If you like the topic of social engineering, you should definitely be in our Slack channel. We have over 1,500 people in there now. Every day they're talking about different topics from all about SE around the globe, using it as part of a job, using it in everyday life, the psychology behind it, even a job board where just about a dozen people have found different employment they've been looking for in the industry, because people come in and say they're hiring, and those who are looking are in there too. So join us. If you can find the link in the show notes. If it doesn't work for you, just ping me on LinkedIn or another platform and I'll get it to you. I know it times out every now and then people have a problem getting in, but it's a family-friendly and legal area to discuss all things social engineering. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, you can join us there. I want to invite everyone to go check out innocentlivesfoundation.org. That nonprofit focuses on helping law enforcement geolocate people who traffic children and create child abuse material. Now we're up over 520 cases. I'm so proud of the people there. All the work that we do. We work so hard to get these cases into law enforcement's hands. And they're doing such great work. Really, the volunteers, I think we're over 38 volunteers and 5 employees there working tirelessly to help with this mission. If you would like to support us, you can do that through voluntary donations at innocentlivesfoundation.org. And you can join us at our upcoming gala in September in LA at the Woodshed, which is the Action Figures, a wonderful band. Their studio, it holds about 200 people, so we're limited in size. And we're going to be having a big old party out there in September 21st. So if you want to join us, go to innocentlivesfoundation.org. You can find information about the gala there. And you can sponsor, come out, join us. We'd love to see you and hang out. And if you enjoy the music on this podcast, if you're listening to it on Spotify or iTunes or one of the audio methods, it is none other than Clutch, the best rock and roll band on earth. Go check them out at clutchmerch.com. Everyone who's listened to this podcast at least once knows I'm a huge fan, and Neil Fallon, the lead singer, helped me start ILF just about 7 years ago, if you can believe that. Okay, now, last but not least, before we get to our episode today, if you like these kind of episodes, give us a thumbs up and a like. We really enjoy your comments, the conversations on the YouTube channel and the comments that are coming in. They really help us to focus on what content you want to see. So keep that up, and thank you for doing that. This series, sometimes we have guests, sometimes we talk about news. We felt it was important to cover a few of the really big news stories that are involving social engineering scams right now, because they're affecting a lot of people. And we're just seeing breach after breach after breach. So I have 3 or 4 here that I want to discuss with you. The first, really, it's going to come from this story where a Chinese-sponsored hacking team, threat team, has focused on 40,000 corporate users, and they've compromised that many in just the last 90 days. They used a variety of different campaigns, but a lot of them focused on top-level executives and phishing campaigns. Now, they were able to do things like bypass MFA, use all sorts of phishing kits, impersonating entities that are familiar to these professionals like Microsoft or others associated with the target organizations. Like I said, most of them had used something called a dynamic phishing link, and that made it really challenging for filters, URL filters, and other type of filters to catch it. And the way they're doing this is they're base 64 encoding the URL, that when it hits Outlook, of course, it gets translated into the URL, but it's getting past all of those filters. A very smart use case for that. Sadly, they figured out how to bypass this. At the end of 3 months, the campaign targeted more than 3,000 unique domains across 10 different industries and government sectors. And like I said in the beginning, They were trying to commit wire fraud, money fraud, credential harvesting, and other things like that. And they were successful with this phishing campaign of over 40,000 people. Now, I want to talk to you about another one. This is a huge one. You might have heard about Crown Equipment. They're the fifth largest forklift manufacturer in the world. They're about $4.69 billion industry for that company. And they got hit in June in past June, just recently, just last month, right? So June of 2024, where an employee violated the company's data security policy by allowing unauthorized access to their computer at work. That employee fell for the social engineering scam. Can't say enough about that. They were convinced to install some remote software. This is a tactic that we see happening often. And when they got that software on the computer, of course, they left the employees in the dark about what was happening with that. And they really didn't say too much on social media right away. Sadly, that breach really caused them to be out of commission. I mean, we're talking their whole operation was down for a period of a few weeks. The amount of money lost with something like this, again, is catastrophic. And it's not just large companies, right? Not just these like 40K and then Crown, but we see these attacks even on really small organizations. A tiny town in Idaho lost $1 million to a social engineering scam. And I know we're talking about huge numbers with these other two attacks. So $1 million might not seem like a lot, but it is to a small town. Here's what happened in a city of Gooding, which is a city of only about 3,700 people. They had a fake contractor reach out to them. A fake individual, a fake threat actor that was mimicking a real contractor that does work on the city's wastewater, and filled out all the legitimate paperwork to have the bank account changed. And then, of course, sent an invoice for $1.1 million, and the payment was made. And sadly, that money, of course, is now gone and most likely will never get recovered. Okay, so these three social engineering stories focus on different types of scams. We see phishing, we see impersonation, we see wire fraud type of scams, and we see remote installation scams all happening here, these different forms of social engineering. It's not just enough to talk about the news. You're probably sitting there, if you're listening to this episode, wondering, well, what do we do? I mean, these are so many different types of scams and people are still falling for them. How do we manage this? And that is a great question, because these type of things, they continually are getting smarter and smarter and smarter. So we can't rely on technology, right? And this is proven by our first story here. Those URL filters were ineffective in stopping this kind of phish, because the bad guys are constantly a step ahead, thinking about how they can bypass these filtering systems that are built and paid for by these companies. So we come back to the old adage about awareness training. Now, I am not talking about sending out 20, 30, 40-minute CBTs that bore your people to death using fear-based tactics, all those kind of things that just don't work. And there's been a lot of scientific studies about this that have shown they just don't work. I'm talking about real-world security awareness training. And we're not the only company that does it, right? So don't think of this as just a hardcore sales pitch for us. There's a lot of companies out there that focus on this type of training over other types of training, like I said, that video CBT that doesn't really work. And what is real-world training? Well, I kind of use this analogy. You may have heard me use this before. If you wanted to learn how to box, you wouldn't go into a boxing gym and expect the coach to sit you down at the desk and show you a video of Mike Tyson boxing and then say, okay, go in the ring. You can do it. The guy would be ludicrous, right? He'd crazy. You'd walk out of that gym and never go back. What you would expect is for him to show you how to wrap your hands, show you how to put the gloves on, show you how to stand so you're protected, show you how to punch a bag, right? Show you how to throw a punch, then show you how to take a punch. It would be a long time before you actually got in the ring for a real fight. You'd have a sparring partner that would just want to teach you things. And eventually, now you're ready. So we apply that same principle when it comes to security awareness training. Levelize your training. Get people who are new starting off with something easy. Get them into the program. What is your focus? Is it click ratio for phishing? Not good. It's really not. I'm telling you, I can adjust click ratio with a pretext just like that. What you should be focusing on is getting your people reporting. Let's think about that Crown Equipment story. When that remote piece of software got installed, the employee was in the dark about what was happening. Nothing got reported. And that is why they had such a long time in their network to just completely ruin it and being able to take it down for a few weeks. This is a huge problem, right? So we got to focus on getting our people used to reporting everything that happens. And they're not going to do it if there's punitive damage if they do report. If they come and say, hey, boss, I just clicked on something and I'm not sure if it was good or not, and they're afraid of getting fired, no one's going to report. It's just not going to happen. So, and I'm not saying you got to reward them for clicking, but before you just go firing people who make a mistake, look at yourself as a company owner, as a CISO. Are you training your people properly? Are you giving them all the tools that they need in order to report things? Are you making it easy to report incidents, or is it so difficult and time consuming they just don't want to do it? Ask those questions to yourself. And if you're not answering them honestly, and if you are answering them honestly and you're saying, no, we're not doing that, then we got to step up our game as the security professionals and arm our people to be ready for handling accounts like this. There's a lot more tips, and I can go on and on and on. But, if you do want to check out our managed service, you can do it on social-engineer.com. And if you're not into using us, you just like this information, still, we want you to go and find companies that use real world security awareness training and actually help your people learn how to catch and report these things. It's the only way that we're going to have a full program. That doesn't mean get rid of your antivirus and your URL defenders and all that. No, we need those things, right? Those things probably stop 99% of the garbage that's coming through your network. But that 1% or that 2% that's getting through, that's where your human network, your human firewall can really come into play if you're doing the right job. Anyway, I hope this podcast helps keep you and your company safe. Of course, there's more tips out there. If you follow us on Instagram or Twitter, you can find those links in the show notes below. Then, Instagram or Facebook and our LinkedIn post. We are constantly daily posting tips and news stories and ways that you can stay safe in the world out there. So please continue to follow us. Give us a thumbs up and a like. Thanks for joining us this month on the SE Etc. series. Stay safe out there, and we'll see you next month. See ya.